So apologies if you hear this like rumbling in the background. My neighbors are mowing their lawn. Today we've got something special, guys. It's something I've been waiting on for a very long time. 8BitDo, as you know, has a pretty strong history in the world of third-party controllers. Back in October-ish, I think, they announced a brand new controller that was going to coincide with the release of the Analog 3D. For anyone who might not know, the Analog 3D is a new FPGA N64 console, and like I said, 8BitDo announced a controller that was going to be released along with it. Well, the console got delayed, but the controller did not. And so what we're going to be talking about today is 8BitDo's 64 Bluetooth controller. I'm very excited. I've been waiting for this to come out for a long time. So let's adjust the view. Let's show you guys what comes in the box, and we will see how this guy plays. All right. Let's do it. Now, 8BitDo has always been really good with their unboxings. Everything in here is always so tightly packed, and while you don't normally get a lot of things, you don't really need to because it is just a controller after all. Full disclosure, I have opened this already, but I did leave everything in the box as it was supposed to be, save for one thing. Now, normally the controller comes in this plastic bag, but I've been using it, I've been testing it. I didn't bother putting it back in the bag because the bag's not what's important. What's important is the controller itself, and it is a beauty. We will continue with this in a second. You've got your rather intensive instruction manual. It is a roadmap kind of instruction manual, so that's kind of its own problem, but it is very thorough in several different languages to show you everything you need to know about it. 8 different languages. English, I would think this is Chinese, this is Japanese, I believe this is Korean, and then German, French, Italian, and Spanish. So if you speak any of those 8 languages, if those are the languages that are there, then you will be covered. Sorry, I was just looking over a couple of things. I didn't know it had a turbo mode, and I didn't know it had a fast button swap. So that's actually cool if the buttons aren't laid out exactly the way you want them to be. You don't have to go into like settings to remap something. You can just remap it on the fly and then change it back. That's actually really handy. And then inside the box as well, you do get a USB-C to USB-A charging cable. I need to get one of those tester things, one of those USB cable tester things, to where I can check if a cable that's provided is just for power or if it's got a data capabilities too. I have 1,000 of these, so I'm not going to really bother taking it out of the box because I'm going to keep the box at least for a while. But that's everything that comes in the box. This is the most important, the reason that we're here, so let's get this guy under the microscope. The actual like body design of it is very reminiscent of their Ultimate controller. I don't have one of those to test, so I could know if it is actually the exact same body shape, but it looks like it, and this feels like what I would expect that controller to feel like. As far as layout goes, you probably notice a few things right away. One, it's a 6-button controller here instead of the 4 buttons with a right analog stick. There is no right analog stick here, actually. That's what these are emulating, because the N64 didn't have 2 sticks, it had the 1 stick, and then the 4 C buttons as they were known back then. It's got a very solid D-pad, I feel. The face buttons all feel very good. They're not mechanical buttons, and there's not super clicky like something like the Switch Joy-Con buttons are, but they are still very solid feeling buttons. The shoulder buttons, you have your L, your R, and then 2 Z buttons. They might be labeled the same, but they are independent buttons. So if you use this on like a computer, you still have your L1, L2, R1, R2 buttons. Really the only thing you're missing is the right stick. So you don't have an R3 button, you just have the cardinal directions in these, or these can be mapped to other things. The left stick feels very reminiscent of the N64 with that shape, because if you look at it, it's got the ridges on it. It's got these ridges here on it, very reminiscent of an actual N64 stick, although this is both bigger around and rubberized. So that's one of the issues with the N64 stick. As far as grip, it just relied on these ridges, so it worked, but it definitely had its problems as far as grippiness is concerned. This does not have that issue at all, as it's both ridged and rubberized, so that's a good on you, 8BitDo. Now, one thing that I didn't realize about game controllers until I started playing with this was how much I'm not used to having an octagonal gate on a stick anymore. Most modern controllers nowadays underneath the stick, it's a proper circle. So there's no cardinal directions that it can rest into. You can actually fine tune your position of the stick in any direction you want. The N64 didn't have that. It had an 8-pointed octagon, basically, where the stick, while yes, you could do it in any direction, you could use that gate to kind of hold directly right or directly left or directly in any of the 8 directions. I play a lot of games with modern controllers now. I'm not used to having that anymore. So going into playing a game that has not only an octagonal gate, but a very well-defined one, took some getting used to again. Like, I've been replaying Donkey Kong 64 to test out this controller, but just because I haven't played it in so long, it took me a little bit of getting used to go back to using a controller that has these defined directions. Just having them so well defined has taken a little bit of getting used to. It's also made speedrunning Mario 64 with this thing a little bit difficult because, again, I'm used to a proper circular gate and not an octagonal gate here. But it is a bit more authentic to the games that this is designed to play. Another thing of note about the stick itself, and something that I thought was a nice little touch, and then I thought about it, and it might be a bit of a problem, is actually the post that the stick has, like this bit. As you can see, that's metal. And that's a really nice touch at first thought, because it's like, oh, hey, they're actually taking the stick health into consideration. That's gonna, the stick there on the stick is what's gonna wear down. So they're actually taking that into consideration whenever they were designing it. But then I thought about it and was like, that might actually be a problem, because the stick is usually the cheap part to replace. If this shaft here is metal, then that's not what's gonna wear down. What's gonna wear down is the octagonal gate here. This might not ever be a problem, or might not be for several years. But that stick is not going to wear down, it's the gate. And down the line, if the stick starts behaving weird because something's worn down, I would much rather the stick be what needs to be replaced and not the actual faceplate of the controller, because I would almost guarantee that just about any controller any control stick would fit on this. They're more or less universal at this point. You could find one that would fit it, but in 5-7 years of this controller still working, they might not be producing it, and it might be hard to get a faceplate for this guy. So just some thought about it. Like, I'm glad I like the idea of it being metal, but I don't know how that's going to play out down the road, As far as build quality is concerned, otherwise, it's a very solid controller. Like, I've preached before about qualities of plastic and how not all plastics are created equally. And this is a very, very solid plastic. Like, there is no give whatsoever when I'm trying to be a little rough with it. It is just a very solid feeling controller. And it's got a nice little bit of heft to it too. So it really feels like you're holding a quality product. It's got its mode switcher on the back, S and D. It doesn't have as many modes as something like the Pro 2 does, where the Pro 2 has a mode for the Switch, a mode for Apple devices, a mode for D input devices, and a mode for X input devices. This is just really designed for Switch and D input, and D input's going to be your Bluetooth, your basic Bluetooth connections. Having said that, we will discuss something a little bit later. But I think that's all I want to show on it. So let's go to the computer and I'll show you how to update the firmware. You do need to do that basically as soon as you get it, just to make sure that everything's going to work like it should. So let's turn to the computer and we'll do that now. So for updating this guy's firmware, it's actually pretty simple. You need to make sure you have their 8BitDo V2 Ultimate software. That's what the thing that's actually going to update the firmware. And you need to make sure it's the most recent version of 8BitDo's software, because they added support for this guy in that most recent software. But as far as updating it, it's literally just plug it in, it finds it. You hit that update button and you'll pick whichever firmware is the one you need. Obviously, you'll want the most recent one, and then you'll hit this update button and you're good to go. As you can see, I already have the most recent firmware, v1.0.3. That's at least as of recording this video, that's the most recent firmware. So you just want to make sure you update to the most recent one and you're off to the races. So as far as connecting it to your computer via Bluetooth, it does work as a wired connection, but connecting it to your computer as far as Bluetooth is concerned, the switch on the back, you'll want to make sure it is set to D. I'm doing this on macOS, but this will work for Windows as well. And whenever you hold the start button here to turn it on, all of these lights at the bottom will be flickering. And then there's a button at the top here that you will hold down. And when the lights start doing that, it is in pairing mode. I'm not sure why, but OBS didn't record audio here. What I'm going to show you here is that the controller appears in the Bluetooth settings as you would expect it to, and you can press connect and it will connect basically immediately. Then when you pull up your program of choice, it will show up as 8BitDo's 64BT in the controller options. Then you just have to map it exactly like you would any other controller. Showing the lag a little bit. And then you just dive into playing your games. So first and foremost, yes, it does also work with the Blue Retro N64 adapter. I have it paired to it right now, and as you can see, it works just fine. One thing I do need to point out about this though, with the Blue Retro adapter specifically, the S&D switch on the back for the Blue Retro, at least my experience, it does need to be set to S for this. I had it set to the D mode whenever it was set up the first time, and for whatever reason, A and B registered as the same button. They both registered as jump, but if you have it set to S, it actually registers them properly. I don't know why, but that's the case, and that might have been fixed in this newest update for the analog adjustments. That might be something about my Blue Retro adapter that I need to adjust, or that might be like an update on the Blue Retro adapter that I need to make. But just know, S mode, it works exactly like it should. And also when you're playing on the Blue Retro adapter, yes, the Z... Why does my TV need a system update? On the Blue Retro adapter, the Z's are recognized as two separate buttons, or as the same button. So if you want to hit it with your left hand while you're playing or with your right hand while you're playing, it'll work just fine. For playing it on the Switch or Switch 2, it does need to be in S mode. But the fun part is it actually registers it as an N64 controller, as you can see down at the bottom there. So that's pretty sick. But it works just fine on Switch 2 as well. There we go. But yes, that is the 8BitDo 64 Bluetooth controller. I've been waiting for this controller to come out for a long time, and I'm so excited to finally have it in my hands. If you want one, they are $40 on Amazon currently. You can go get one right now. They are in stock. And if you plan on playing N64 games either on the Switch or emulating them, or even on a proper N64, this is probably going to be the best way to actually do it, because this has everything you need from an N64 controller in a much more desirable and actually usable form factor. I loved this controller as a kid because it fit very well in my hand. I never felt too cramped or anything, but as an adult, since my hands have gotten like actually larger, this is difficult to go back and play on. And don't even get me started on the NSO N64 controller. I really don't like it. This is my ideal way to play N64 games now. It's not even a question, just go get one. I don't know if I can say that this is my favorite 8BitDo controller because the M30 still exists and I freaking love this thing. But for N64 games, I don't think this can be beat. I'll have a link down in the description so you don't even have to go look for it. It's right there. Go get one. But I think that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to hit that like button. And if you like what I do here, then hit subscribe because that does help me out a lot. I want to thank you guys for being here, and I look forward to showing you even more controller game tech review videos just like this one as the days go on. But that's it from me. I'll see you next time. Have a good one, y'all.